Well, hi again. This is Tim Donner with another edition of LNTV. You need only to have paid attention for the excruciating, exhausting, emotionally draining 24 hours of Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, to understand all you really need to know about today's Democratic Party. A two-headed monster reared its head first in the light of day and then after dark, in a memorably horrific reminder of what has become of one of our two major political parties. The two heads are impeachment and socialism. And here to discuss what the Democrats have become is LibertyNation.com's outspoken political columnist, Joe Schaefer. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Tim. That was a heck of an introduction. I think we don't even need to talk. I think you captured it all right there.
Well, nevertheless, let's start with impeachment. Democrats have relied on second and third and fourth hand witnesses in this impeachment. Will that kind of evidence be persuasive when it goes to a trial in the Senate to convict and remove the president from office?
No, not at all. It sounds weak. It sounds like, when you said you paired it with how lame the debate is. Democrats are dominating a 24-hour news cycle now, and they have nothing of substance to offer, either on impeachment or when they're debating each other at night. They bring these finely dressed career diplomats who are obviously hostile to Trump. It's what Trump ran against. You're not hurting him bringing these guys out. And you have someone like Gordon Sondland, who is the ambassador to the European Union, saying everybody's in the loop. And then he's not really saying anything that shows he's deep in the loop. Oh, I said something and Mike Pence nodded at me. You're not convicting anybody in a court of law with that. And it really doesn't sound like you're close to the president's ear when you're saying things like that. So the Democrats jump all over it. Oh, in the loop. We got him here. And it's just a circus, and it just keeps going on.
Well, there's been a lot of opinions, a lot of feelings, a lot of defense of traditional foreign policy guidelines and strictures that have stood for 75 years since the Cold War. So there's a tremendous resistance to a guy like Trump, who comes in and basically proposes to break the furniture. That's what he was elected to do. But now he sees just how difficult a job it really is. Now, here's something I don't understand, Joe, that no one seems to be talking about. If Donald Trump is a Russian agent, as the left still contends, why would he be providing the very kind of lethal aid to a country invaded by Russia that Barack Obama, by the way, refused to provide?
Yeah, it makes no sense at all on the surface. Apparently, that doesn't stop the Democrats from proceeding with this. If you want to try to orchestrate a coup against the president, you got to go with some corrupt people, and the corruption is in Ukraine nowadays. And I'm talking about U.S. corruption, people who have a vested financial interest in propping up the Cold War, which ended almost 30 years ago. Hunter Biden making all his money there. They don't want that investigated. And so, you get these people who, frankly, to me, are a bit unsavory. I don't care what uniform they show up in for their congressional testimony. They look shady to me. And, those are the people who are in Ukraine now. It's just a big financial windfall for people who do not have the interests of the American people at heart. And so, if you want to go after the president, you get corrupt people, and the corrupt people are in Ukraine.
Okay, Joe, so let's move on to the debate on Wednesday night. Did you find it curious how the Democrats' presidential candidates didn't spend a whole lot of time discussing impeachment, which should have been almost the only topic of discussion if it's really as important as Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff say it is?
Well, it's a telling point that it's not a political winner in their minds. So maybe, people should start thinking, why are Democrats doing this? That yes, they want to get rid of Trump. I think a strong argument could be made is that they're trying to go on the offensive so they don't have investigations coming out against them. There's a Russia, people have been investigating that Russia probe that was a fiasco. And there are a lot of people that are going to end up looking very, very bad with that. How do you get people to stop thinking about that? Impeach, 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 even if it doesn't make sense. The Democratic candidates, there's not a lot to talk about here because it's not a convincing argument. So they are best avoiding it. I found it very interesting last night how conventional on foreign policy so many of the Democrats were. And Tulsi Gabbard brought that up again. And boy, they really don't like her. And the only reason they don't like her is she's not a neocon. I mean, the Democratic Party seems to be willingly allowing itself to be hijacked by neocons on foreign policy.
And Kamala Harris took a gratuitous swipe at Tulsi Gabbard for no reason. I mean, talk about punching down, but then Kamala Harris has been in a death spiral for months, and she's clinging to anything and not clinging very successfully. That's quite obvious. Now, Joe Biden, who looked, I thought, old and tired and spent, he somehow felt it appropriate to trumpet the idea that he was at the center of this whole Ukraine imbroglio, that him and his son and the $83,000 a month of millions that he got from Ukraine, somehow he felt it would help him to bring this up. What do you think he could possibly have been thinking?
I think his mind is just unfocused right now. He just kind of shoots from the hip. He wanted to portray it as there is a grand conspiracy to keep me from being elected because Vladimir Putin doesn't want me in the White House. And I don't know why he thinks that's a great argument. I don't understand most of his arguments. He really stretched to try to bring an obscure senator, Carol Moseley Braun, into the conversation, and he ended up botching that completely. And, not only did it look like he was pandering for black voters, but he was pandering by going back 15 years or so, again showing he lives in the past. He's not living in 2019, and he really doesn't have anything to offer for 2020. And the more he keeps saying these things, the more he's telling the American people that his candidacy is so done. He's so done. He's done.
Joe, I want to close by bringing up something you wrote to me earlier today, which I thought was quite intriguing. You said this business with impeachment, this business with socialism and Medicare for all and the Green New Deal and all these programs that would bankrupt the economy basically means like getting rid of the economy and starting over. You said all of this makes the Democrats appear smaller to the American people and they can't even see it. Expound on that thought, if you would.
Well, I was talking about their far-fetched policies, but really the two-headed monster that you talked about with impeachment and then the boring debate where they just keep saying all the things they've been saying all along, and they're not really offering the American people anything new and exciting. The more you talk about nothing, the more, it's going to diminish you in the eyes of the people. And this is what they're doing with these, with the impeachment. The longer it goes on and the more they hype it up and then it becomes a big nothing burger, that diminishes you. And when you go on a debate stage and you argue about the same things you've been arguing about for 7 months now, I mean, they have to start casting votes. They have to cast some votes and get some people out of this race. And yet we have 2 more people in the race now, but Bloomberg's not official, but he is all but official. And all of that makes them look small. All of that makes them look small. They need to either say something decisive, challenge the ruling progressive party orthodoxy, vote or something, but don't just keep regurgitating this meaningless garbage that you've been talking about for 7 months. Let's move on to some substance.
Then again, on the other hand, Joe, when Tulsi Gabbard tried to do that, where did it get her? On that note,
they don't like her.
On that note, Joe, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.
Hi, folks. Lisa K. Donner here, editor-in-chief of LibertyNation.com. We hope you enjoyed watching this video, maybe even learned a thing or two. If so, please take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there in the corner. Thanks so much.